end of the tutorial, you should be able to create characters like this in Blender using just PNG files, that is image files. So let's get started. Hello everyone, welcome to 2and3D. So this is where we stopped in the last video. Let me just get rid of most of these things in my windows. Perfect. Okay, so what you need to know about this kind of character is we're going to be rigging it. Aside from rigging it, normally what I do with characters like this is I don't rig it in general. I just animate it. I just make use of, like, create whatever animation I want using like placing, and I'm sure I'm going to definitely cover that in a future video. I'm going to cover that slightly in this series that I'm working on. So let's just jump into the tutorial. So now we have this character, but if you notice, it's a bit gray. It's not white, and we painted this character white and purposely because of our game. So what I need to do is now come to this render tab here, scroll down, come to color management, and now we change it from Fimic. Fimic is just supposed to make it look sort of like it's supposed to blend it in such a way that it looks more realistic, and that is why we're getting this gray color. So I'm going to move it to standard, and when I do that, it's boom, white now. Perfect. This is what we want. So now let's just jump into like the rigging process. And okay, we didn't position the hand correctly, so this is the hand, the fingers rather. So let's just position. I'm using dots to move to whatever I select. So if I select this, I use dot and then I move that, so it makes your work easier, so you can concentrate on a particular thing. Okay, so now let's just move this back so that we'll get the default arm. So let's move it to 1. Move it to 1. Okay, good. So now let's just position it right, move it, and I'm using the move. You could use G alternatively, like you don't have to even come and select this. You could just use G and move it around, stuff like this, and now it's placed correctly. But then let me move a little bit forward so that I'll be able to get other arms and then position it correctly. I think the problem is not even the D is on this Z axis, so let's just move that upwards just a little bit. Now let's move, and then all the other arms fit perfectly, so that's cool. Okay, so now we have our arm in the right position. So what else do we do? So now let's start rigging. Not really rigging for now. Okay, let's just select this. You select this one. I want this one. I don't want them to be rotating independently. Like this rotates independently and this rotates independently of the other arm, and that's not how normal arms work. So this, when you move this, the entire arm is supposed to move. So one way to get that is select this. Make sure you select the one you want to parent to this. So we're parenting this, so we want to parent this to this. So you select this one first, and then you select this last. The one that you're selecting last, that is kind of like less orangey or lighter orange, is the one that is going to be parent to. So what we need, and we're going to be using its pivot point. So whatever you parent to it, it uses the feature of this to work. So now if I press Ctrl P, now this option is available to us here. Ctrl P. I think there is a way of doing that around here. I don't know, but I would say rely on just use Ctrl P. Ctrl P, and we'll get this. And now we have parent, set parents to objects. So now this is what we want. So just use object, and now when we select just this and we rotate it, the lower arm follows it. Okay, so now let's do that for these also. So let's select this and select this one. Okay, now let's select both like this, and then Ctrl P, and then we'll get this option again, and then use objects. So now this entire arm, this is parent to this, and this is parent to this. So it means when I move this now, the entire arm is going to move. Perfect. Okay, so now how do we do the body? We could still replicate the same thing on the body, but this character, I want this character to be able to walk and move around like a normal human. So this character should be able to do a walk circle. And if you do use this method, this leg will not have inverse kinematics, so it will not be able to like understand that, okay, this is the ground. So if I parent this and then I move stuff around like this and whatever like that, it doesn't know where the ground is. It doesn't know where this should bend when I drag this. So that is why we're going to be using bones, and this is so easy to do. So do not fret. What I need to do first is let's just get rid of this. Let's just hide this for now because we do not need that for now. So let's just hide this. Use H. So when you press H, it hides it. So now let's start our rigging process. So how do you put in a bone? So it's easy in Blender. All you just need to do is press Shift A, just the same way you add any other thing, add image plane as images. Also, this option is available to you here, armature. As you can see, there's armature here. So now let's just click armature, and we now have a bone. Boom. This is what we have currently. So all you need to do is to position it at the point you want the object to be moving. So right now I want his upper torso, her upper torso. So this, I want it and the back to move together, like to move, but then they should be able to deform. So deforming, I will explain that further, but deforming is just moving points, vertices. So these are actually vertices. This is called a vertice. This is called a vertice. So when you talk about deforming, you're talking about like moving. Like if I do this, let me just select this both axis, and then I move this, I'm deforming the mesh. So that's what we do need to use. We want the bone to be able to do that, but not in this way. We want it that, okay, a bone from here to here will be able to deform this point, a bone from here to here will be able to deform this point, like that. And that's what we're going to do. So now let's just go back to object mode and select our bone and position it correctly. So let's position it at the middle. And now let's go into edit mode, because you can only edit bones in edit mode. So let's go into edit mode, and you can use tab or come here and go into edit mode. Both are fine. I would say you should stick to using shortcut keys, because they are really awesome, and they will really the time it adds up eventually. Like if you keep going here and selecting stuff like that, it looks like just a few seconds to do, but after a while it becomes like if you're working on a bigger project like this, it adds hours or days to your time. So now let's do that. So let's select this point. You see on the bone, you can select this point and move just that point. You could select this point and move just that point. So now we want to select this and position it. Let's just use the move tool. So let's just select this and move it downwards a bit. So at this point, so you could put you could just use one bone, it's fine, but in my own case I prefer using more than one bone for this. So let's select this, and then let's extrude. To extrude, you press E. So you select a point and you press E, and it's the same thing that it applies to any other thing in Blender. So when you press E, you extrude. So now I'm pressing E, press E and you extrude. Boom. Now we have another bone that has been extruded, and this bone is the parent of this bone is this. So this is a child of this right now. So let's extrude further. So E, and then we extrude further. Then we extrude. Let's just extrude to let's say this point. This point is fine. Let's extrude to this point. Boom, that's good. And then now let's extrude the neck upwards. So let's extrude upwards like this, and this is the neck. And now I want to make the shoulder sort of like that, and I want to be able to deform the shoulder. So I'm just going to extrude from here and go just a little bit further, and then I'll do it one more time. And then this again, let's select this, and then we extrude from here, just one, and then one again. Good. So now we have our armature for her torso. Okay, so now that's perfect. So now let's move to her legs. Let's go back into object mode. So you press tab and you get out of edit mode, and now we could still add another bone. Alternatively, you could move this around and like you could extrude from the same bone, but I preferred using a separate bone for that. So now let's do that. So if I turn right now, you see that the bone is in between, is just placed above, just in front of the character, which is fine. You can move that back, it doesn't matter as much, but it should not be very far from your character. So just put that in mind. So now let's use Shift A and add in another armature. This is a bone, so armature, let's add that, and now we have this. So now we could move this. Let's just move it to, let's say this point is fine. Let's do like this point. So now let's go into edit mode and edit this particular bone. Let's select this and then let's move it like this. I like to do something like this. And now I'm going to extrude another bone to this point. And the reason why I'm doing this is because you do not have to do this. You could just drag one bone up to this point, but I also want to be able to manipulate like her ass region kind of thing, like this ass. I need to be able to like control that aspect, which is why I'm putting a bone there. So this bone could do that, but not as perfect. So this is just good, just do like this. So now I'm going to extrude another bone. Let's extrude it and then we'll come to the knee. Boom. Now we have this bone at the knee. Now let's extrude another bone. Let's boom to this point here. So this point rotates. So just make sure you just put it at the point where you think there's a joint. So now let's do another one to this point like this. And then let's do 1 and 2. Just perfect. Perfect. Okay, so now we just need to replicate the same thing on this bone. So let's just do extrude, boom, to this position, and yes, and then extrude like this to this point, and then let's go again, just follow the same pattern. So extrude to this point, extrude to this point, extrude and extrude. Boom, boom. Nice. We're doing great so far. So okay, I actually missed something. Well, we need to delete this bone. So let's delete this and this. So you could select both, just delete bone, that's fine. Now I need to drag this like this point, drag this to this point, and drag this to this point. This is so much better because this joint is unnecessary to put a joint here. There's no point putting a joint here. This is just the joint that you need. If you check your leg, you'll be able to see that it's just one joint that is there. So just drag this here, do the same thing. So let's drag this down to this point. That's perfect. Okay, so now we have our leg bone. Okay, the head, that will work on that eventually, but for now let's get out of edit mode. And now what I want to do is I want to work on her. Let's start with her breast. So this, I separated this purposely because I want this to be bobbing kind of thing, like for it to bob around kind of like when she's moving. And it's the same thing for her hair, for gravity to be able to like affect it. So let's do something about that. So now how do we isolate this? Because this is very confusing. Alternatively, we could just hide this, but we do not have to. Or maybe I should do that instead. Let's just hide this. Let's hide this. I'll give you a different way of doing that, because you could go into isolation mode for just this by pressing the slash button. When you press the slash button, you go into isolation mode, so you'll be able to handle just that aspect of it. But for now, let's just stick with what we have. So let's add another bone. Let's use Ctrl A, and then we'll add an armature. We drag it to this point like this, and now I want to go into edit mode. Select this point, extrude like this, extrude like this. This is for the second boobs. So let's extrude 1 and 2. Let's take it out. This is 2 out. So let's just do something like this. And the reason why I'm doing this like this, I'm rigging it like this, because there's a chance that we'll be having a bigger book. So it's just wiser to have something like this. So let's drag this, extrude 1 and extrude 2. Good. Perfect. Okay, so now let's go back into object mode, and now let's select the hair, and now let's do the isolation for the hair, because I do not want to hide this again. So let's just go into isolation slash, and then we'll go into isolation. Now let's add in a bone, add an armature, and then let's take it up to this point here, and then let's do let's go into edit mode, So this is the main hair. So let's just drag something like this, extrude like this, like this, like this, like this. And then let's do the same, extrude like this, like this, like this. Let's just do one at the center. No, undo that. Let's just do one at the center. So extrude, 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 extrude. Good. So now we have all our bones. Yep, we have all our bones. We have the breast, we have the hair and her torso, and then her legs. That's fine. Perfect, perfect. So now what do we do about this with this now? So what I normally do is you select this upper torso and this, and if you notice I placed these are separate, but they are placed properly. That's because I want whenever this rotates, it will just align properly. And that's the reason why I separated this from this. You could alternatively make them together, but there is a chance that she will be bending very, very far, and you want to ensure that this joint doesn't just break, or you don't see some artifact around, because they will be both in the same layer. So that's something to put in mind. I know it's a bit confusing now, especially for beginners, but you get the hang of it eventually. Okay, so now because let me just show you an instance. So right now, if I select this and this and this and this, now all the legs, and then let's just select the crotch also. So now let's see. Okay, we didn't get that. Let's select the crotch. Okay, so I believe we have. No, we haven't. How do I select this? Okay, an alternative is just to come in and just look for it and just select it. And just select this. Okay, now we have it. So now if I just click the armature, there is a way I could just press Ctrl P and this option will be available to me. Now it's not just object again. Now we have armature deform with automatic weights. So this is what you want to select. But then if I do this now, let me just do that so that you'll be able to see. Now everything has automatically been like the weight have been applied to it. So now if I select this and go into pose mode, which is something that I need to tell you about. Okay, if you want to move armature and actually animate, like move around and stuff like that, you would have to come into pose mode. You cannot do that in edit mode or in object mode. You cannot move around the armature. Let's see, if I do go into object mode and I try to move this particular point, I cannot. You have to move the entire armature. You have to move the entire bone, and it means that the entire object moves. If I go into edit mode, I literally can only edit. You cannot deform any mesh from there. But then if you go into pose mode, you can now select a particular bone and move that part. And now when I do this, if you notice, it's not deforming correctly. There's just so many issues right here. Let me just turn this off. So many issues right here. So now a way of fixing that, it's quite easy to fix. So okay, first thing I need to do is, but let me just go straight and just do the tutorial. So first thing I need to do is let's go out of pose mode, go back to object mode, and let's select this our leg here, and let's just go into isolation mode so that I'll be able to see what I'm doing. Now going to edit mode, there are just two vertices here, which means that this mesh can only deform in like just like this, like it could only deform like this. There's no way of moving this particular point because there is no vertex there. So if you move these, like the whole mesh just deforms. So a way of handling that is to select everything, or you don't have to select everything actually. Just Ctrl R. When you use Ctrl R, I know I'm hitting with so many shortcut keys, but some of these you really need to wait. I don't know if my screencast is not available. Let me just turn on the screencast so that this tutorial will be way more tolerable. Okay, perfect. Now I have my screencast. So now just take note of some of the controls that I'm pressing. So I'm pressing Ctrl R now, and we'll be able to add a loop cut. Now let's just move it so that we'll have like a box kind of thing. I think this is box enough. This is like a square. So let's click it, and then now we could select everything with A. Select everything and you right click. Let's right click. Yes, you right click, you get this option, and this option is available to you, subdivide. That's what we want. So you subdivide. Now we have more vertices and more faces. Let's click and subdivide further. Click, subdivide further. You just need to subdivide to the point that you think you can now deform a particular image. So now if I select this point, I can deform just this point. If I select this point, deform this point. So you get it. Right now, your bone can now deform this mesh properly. So now let's go back to, let's just press hash and go back to our full character. Now let's select this bone. Let's select this mesh, select this bone, and then let's deform it. Let's add this, let's parent it with armature deform with automatic weight. So if we do that again, now when I select this bone and then I come into pose mode, before it was difficult to deform this mesh, but now I could deform this. I could make her legs bend. Ignore this part, I'm going to fix that. So I could make this bend like this. I could make this portion bend. So you see, now we're getting somewhere. And this is just one long, so you don't have to worry about that. That deforms properly. Okay, so now we need to do the same for all of these, the rest of the shapes, the rest of the body parts. So let's go back into object mode, and I press Ctrl Tab to go back into object mode from pose mode. So let's just do the same for all the others. So let's go in Tab, Ctrl R, let's make it a box, select everything, subdivide, select everything. Oh no, it's that, I missed that. Select everything, subdivide, select everything, subdivide, select everything, subdivide. I think this is good enough. Let's go back. Let's enter into edit mode. Let's go in Ctrl R. Subdivide, subdivide, subdivide. Okay, so the same thing with this. Let's do this. Okay, so because of time, I just went through and subdivided, did everything. It didn't take long. So edit, if I go into edit mode, you can see that I've subdivided this, I've subdivided the torso, I've subdivided her breast, and every other part. So aside from the hands, because those will deal with those ones separately. So now what do? We just come, let's select the hair, select her hair bones that we created, and let's use Ctrl P, deform with automatic weight. So you apply the same thing. And right now, if I select this bone, I go into tab. Now if you notice, her hair could move like this and like this, and whatever like that, it could move around. Okay, so let's go out of that. And it's the same thing with the body. So let's select the torso. In fact, let's select the torso and her back, and let's select the bone for the torso. Let's deform with armature. So now if I select this and I come into pose mode, you see we could bend her body like this. Perfect. And we could do the same like this. So you see, that's really perfect. Okay, so now let's do the same for all the legs. So let's just select everything here like this. Okay, and then select the bone last. Ctrl P, then we'll have automatic weight. Boom. Okay, so now we have everything rigged properly. But then if I move this is the separate part. This is separate like that. Some of these things are separate, so we have to find a way to combine them. And I believe because of time, I'm going to cut this video and then we'll continue that in the next video. So thank you for watching. Please give us a like, give us a sub. It will help us to reach more people. It will help us to reach you with more contents like this in the future. Thank you and bye for now.